Hey guys, welcome to the Compounding Oak, the channel where we track this 20 years pie that has two ETFs. I am going to invest on this pie €5 every week, and I will keep track of this pie weekly. So you will see every week a video about the growth of this pie. I took inspiration for the name of the channel from a little oak tree. The inspiration that I want to give you is that it takes a long time for an oak tree to grow. An oak tree starts from a little plant, then goes through many days, wind, storms, shine, and rain. And then at the end of a long time, it becomes a mighty oak. And this is like a portfolio where you invest constantly and you go through many seasons in the life of the portfolio. It goes through rain and shine like the oak tree. And then, if you are constant in your investments, you can have your portfolio grow like an oak tree. It can become a mighty investment. So, what is the plan for this channel? The plan is, as I said before, to invest weekly €5 on this pie. 80% is gonna go into this Invesco technology, and 20% is gonna go to the Invesco All World. Why I decided this? It is because I am going to invest into this pie for 20 years. In the first 10 to 15 years, I just want to deliver more growth to this pie. And then after 10, 15 years, I will rebalance these percentages, like maybe 16% here, 40%, or even go safer at the end of the 20 years. So if there is a very down period for the growth when I want to cash out, I am more safe adding more money to the Invesco FTSE All World in the last years. So if I want to cash out at the end of the period that I want to invest on this pie, it is a good idea to start adding more money here on the Invesco FTSE All World and not into the Invesco technology. So the plan is to have these percentages for the first 10 to 15 year and then probably invert the values in the last 8 or 5 years. This is the plan. Why did I choose these two ETFs? It is because this, the technology ETF from Invesco, is a growth ETF, is 100% growth, while this one is an all-world ETF, so is more stable, and this instead is very volatile. I have 20 years of time, so I don't have any problems to go all in into growth with this very volatile ETF, so I don't have any problems. And as I said before, the plan is just to invert these values in the last years of this investment plan. I chose the Invesco Technology S&P US Select Sector, whose ticker is XLKS, because this has a long history and has delivered a huge growth compared to many other growth ETFs out there. I'll show you now. This is the XLKS ETF. If you go to basics, you can see that the inception was on the 16th of December 2009. So this has a long history. The ETF has a total expense ratio of 0.14% per year. It is a synthetic ETF. It's not a physical ETF. If you want to know more about the difference between synthetic and physical ETFs, you can go to this website that is called Investopedia, and you can have more info about what is a synthetic exchange trade fund or ETF, and you can read here what it is. And I decided to get this ETF instead of other growth ETFs because of this comparison that I will show you now. Okay, so you here can see that the longest history that where we can compare the ETF that I chose together with the Vanguard S&P 500 and together with the iShares S&P 500 information technology, the longest period that I can compare these three is only up to 2019 because the Vanguard S&P 500 has been the inception has happened on 2018, while the inception of iShares S&P 500 was on 2015, and the inception of the Invesco technology was on 2009. So the ETF that I chose to invest on has a long history, a very long history. Other factors that made me choose this ETF is also the total expense ratio compared to the iShares S&P 500 technology. The total expense ratio for the XLKS is only 0.14%, while for the iShares S&P 500 it is 0.15%. Now, the Vanguard S&P 500 is only 0.7%, but I will show you why I chose this. Let's go to the performance. During this year to date, you can see that the performance of the XLKS, it has been almost 30%. Today we are on the 22nd August 2024. The return of the Vanguard S&P 500 has been 15%, and the return of the iShares ETF has been of the 26%. A good difference between the Invesco and the iShares, a big difference between the Invesco and the Vanguard. 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. 1 year is not even comparable. There is a huge difference between the Vanguard and the Invesco ETF, while the Invesco and the iShares ETFs is still somewhat similar. But as you saw before, the total expense ratio for this is lower than this. So that's why I chose this one. As you can see from this table, this is the main reason why I chose this Invesco XLKS ETF. Next, let's go to the page of this ETF on the website of the ETF on the Invesco website. Here you have the description of the product, and it explains the methodology of investing, explains what is this synthetic methodology of investing for this ETF. And I am not going to explain you this, you can just read this, otherwise the video is gonna be too long. And I just want to show you the annualized past performance and the calendar year performance. So the annualized past performance is just the average performance in 1 year. This is the average performance. In 3 years, the average performance has been 18.44%. In 5 years, 26. In 10 years, 21. An ETF that delivers a 20% average return in 10 years is crazy, is really crazy. Calendar year performance. So this is how much the ETF delivered in returns year after year. So it's not average. So year to date, 31%. 2023, almost 60%. 2022, minus 30%. Very bad this year. 2021, almost 34%. 2020, a crazy 42%. 2019, 49%. And you can read the other values. As you can see, this ETF has delivered a lot during these years. and is also very, very, very volatile. But this is a portfolio where I am going to invest for 20 years. So I can go through all these seasons of rain and shine, sun and snow, winter and summer, all these bad and good seasons. We can go through it because we are going to invest only €5 every week for 20 years. This could be like a very risky and volatile ETF if you want to invest only for 5 years. So I would not recommend to invest on this ETF for a short period of time. This is meant to be a long investment plan. The other ETF that I chose for the pie is the FTSE All World, still from Invesco. There's not much to say about this. It's an all world ETF, and these invest also on developed and emerging countries worldwide. It has 15% TER, total expense ratio. And the top holdings are Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta, Google, Lilly, Taiwan Semiconductors, and Broadcom. Performance has been in 1 year 23%, 6 months 8%. It's a very young ETF. The inception date of this ETF is the June of 2023, so just last year. And I decided to invest on this ETF because this one has a lower total expense ratio, way lower than the Vanguard. And the Vanguard ETF hasn't changed its total expense ratio in a long time. They are very similar ETFs. The main differences are in the number of holdings, 2,650 for the Invesco All World and more than 3,000 for the Vanguard All World. But the top 10 holdings are mostly the same, as you can see here on the table. This is it, guys. So I am going now to invest on this pie automatically. So I want to set the investment plan on this pie in a way that I don't have to think about it anymore. So let's see how much we can earn, how much our returns at the end of 20 years, because Trading 212 gives you an estimate of how much your returns can be depending on how much you invest and for how long. So let's see. So let's say we want to invest for 20 years. 20. And then we said we want to invest weekly. Let's put it on the Tuesdays. And then initial deposit, let's say €5. And €5 minimum investment, as we said. Trading 212 gives you an estimate on the return for 20 years, and it is the 20% for this kind of investment. €5 every week in 20 years is gonna give you almost like €70,000. You would use only €5,000 of your own money during these 20 years to have a return of 20% at the end of the 20 years, and you would reach 70K. It is crazy how much the compounding effect can transform your investment in the long run. Okay, guys, I am going to invest on these 2 ETF pie, and I will see you with the next video in a week. Thanks for watching.